Another media chat from the FCT minister with a plethora of issues addressed, both developmental and political. And the residents of Idosarki claim the Nigerian Navy is taking away their farms, despite their claims that the FCT minister has given a directive on the issue alongside the National Assembly. My guest helps us understand the situation in our interview segment. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. Let's begin with an update on the major stories from Nigeria's presidency. It's time for our Abuja Wrap.
President Tinubu departed Abuja for Paris, the capital of France, for what has been described as a brief work visit. According to the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the president and his entourage traveled in a new Airbus A330, which replaced the 19-year-old Boeing B737-700 bought under the presidency of President Olusegun Obasanjo. He stated that the new plane, bought far below the market price, saves Nigeria's huge maintenance and fuel costs, running into millions of dollars yearly. He added that the recommendation to replace the old plane followed an investigative hearing by Nigeria's parliament that questioned the plane's safety record and cost efficiency, especially after its malfunctioned during a trip to Saudi Arabia. The plane has also been one of the planes seized by a French court following the dispute with a Chinese company. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu approved the appointment of a new management team for the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, the NDPHC, to be headed by Engineer Jennifer Adihije as the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer. The 6 other members appointed are Engineer Abdullahi Kasim, Executive Director, Generation; Engineer Bello Babayo Bello, Executive Director, Networks; Mr. Emmanuel Imoji, Executive Director, Corporate Services; Mr. Omololu Agoro, Executive Director, Finance and Account; Engineer Omorugi Ogbede Ihama, Executive Director, Strategy and Commercial; and Barrister Stephen Anzege, Executive Director, Legal Services. According to the statement by the Special Advisor to the President, Anjuri Ngelale, the President expects the appointees to deploy their expertise and experience to drive the NDPHC's mandate of effectively managing the National Integrated Power Project. Nigeria is expected to save over 10 billion naira during the upcoming 2024 United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP29, which will hold in Baku, Azerbaijan, according to Anjuri Ngelale, the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity. This is in contrast to the amount spent during COP28 in Dubai, United Arab Emirates last year. Briefing State House correspondent, the Special Advisor, who also serves as a special presidential envoy on climate action, said a climate accountability and transparency portal has been established under his office and the National Council on Climate Change to help the public track Nigeria's official delegation to the conference. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has charged the judiciary to live up to his constitutional mandate and ignore those who, according to him, never see anything good in the judiciary unless the pendulum of justice swings their way. The President, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, made the call at the public presentation of a book, Judging with Justice, an autobiography of the immediate past Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukaode Ariola, held in Abuja.
I urge the Nigerian judiciary to live up to its constitutional mandate and ignore those who never see anything good in the judiciary unless the pendulum of justice swings their way. I commend the book, a document of record, to lawyers, jurists, eminent scholars and other individuals in Nigeria's legal community who can learn from His Lordship's experiences.
Also, President Bola Tinubu returned to Abuja after a short trip to France on a brief work visit. The president, who arrived in Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in the early hours of the 23rd of August, left for France on Monday, August 19. And in another development, President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Justice Kudirat Kekereekun as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria pending Senate approval. During a short ceremony in the State House, the president described the acting Chief Justice as a trailblazer and encouraged her to build on the independence of the judiciary to promote the cause of justice.
We expect the Apex Court to continue to play a critical role in the evolution of our constitutional democracy and shape public policies that impact all segments of Nigerian society. I want to assure you that my administration will continue to provide appropriate support to improve the welfare and capacity of the judiciary, continue to ease the administration of justice, and promote the rule of law in Nigeria. This consideration informed the expedited passage of the National Assembly and my consent to the Judicial Office Order Act of 2024.
Welcome back. A youth development fund, the Park and Pay issue, agriculture in the nation's capital, and a response to calls for his expulsion from the People's Democratic Party. These were just a few of the topics discussed at the media briefing hosted by the FCT Minister, Wike, during the week. These are the details in our Focus on the FCT. This is a media chat organized by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory to bring an update on developments in the city. He begins by disclosing the proposal for a youth development fund for residents of the nation's capital.
Let it not be. I'm trying to take away the job of the mandate secretary. When we are talking about the youth, of course you have to talk about the creation of a job for them. You have to talk about how the empowerment. These are things you must have to. Not just creating a youth secretariat. No. You have to talk about job here, which is important. In fact, if you ask me, I'm trying to submit to Mr. President a supplementary budget, because before now, the youth secretariat was not there. Now that it's been established, so there must be fund for them. I have in mind what we call Youth Development Fund. The mandate secretary for area council is a youth, so they're involved in government. But again, establishing a secretariat like this for them tells you they have to play a lot of roles in government. But like I said, that is the job for the mandate secretary, to bring his blueprint and how government will really have positive impact.
Other issues such as security, agriculture, housing, and infrastructural developments are brought to the fore.
As I speak to you, I sent a letter to the Bureau of Public Procurement as of yesterday to allow us emergency rehabilitation of not less than 30 schools. Because if you are allowed to go to the procurement process, that takes around 3-4 months, and the year is ended. I just spoke with the DG this morning, and he said, look, I should be assured that they are going to give attention to it. That is in terms of education. Not only that, for the first time, where teachers are saying they have never had any training since in this FCT. But for me, education is not only providing infrastructure. Part of quality education to making sure that the teachers are well trained to be able to impact positively on our children. These things, you may not see them. What you see is because people use the roads every day. I'm coming to security, and the rest of you say you know what we have done. It's not just saying, what have you done? No. Most of these schools too are in the rural areas. We are not only concentrated in schools in the city. Ordinarily, it is not our duty to go and begin to talk about primary schools. It's the function of the area council. But we cannot say because the area councils are not able to carry out this, therefore, we shut our eyes. No, we are not allowing that. Look at the area of security. What was FCT as at the time we came? You were talking about kidnapping here and there. When we came, we said, look, we are going to tackle it head on. Security agencies were lacking what they require in terms of fighting crime. No vehicles. They are not, encouraged in terms of logistics. But as we came, I made sure that all these things were provided for them to be able to fight crime. You will attest to the fact today that yes, people can now sleep with their eyes closed in FCT. That does not mean from time to time you will not be able to say, oh, this crime has been committed. And I want to tell anybody, as far as society is concerned, even in developed societies, you will not hear that no crime was committed. No, it's not correct. But if we are very, very objective, you will know that security has improved after FCT is concerned. We are not still on our own. We are believing that we must still work hard. The CP and other security agencies are doing very well. You know, you only hear one crime, but you will hear that they were able to stop about 50 crimes because you're not in a position. I get intelligence report, security report every day, every morning. The Commissioner of Police will send me the report. See what has happened last night, see what was done, see what you have already here, see the criminal. And I can tell you with all confidence that they have done well. We have very good land for agriculture. We are ready to provide not less than 20,000 hectares of land for agriculture. And I can tell you, I was very elated as at Monday when I spoke with the governor. And we are going to Milan in the second week of September to concretize this arena as far as agriculture is concerned. You see, we talk about, I don't want to talk about, we have been giving out fertilizers, we have been giving out seeds to farmers. That cannot really solve the problem in terms of food security. You need proper farming. And that is why in all the rural areas today, which has not been the case, you can't find roads. And how do you talk about agriculture when there's no road? How do you convey the produce? How? So we make sure that, look, if we're really talking about agriculture, there must also be road infrastructure. That's why if you go to the 6 area councils, go and see the openings. Go and see the openings. The local farmers are happy that yes, they can go to farm. Security has improved.
Mr. Wike also made clarification on the park and pay policy in the FCT.
Who introduced this park and pay? What does it mean? Who collects the money? Now, unknown to us, there is an agreement between the secretariat and some people who say they are consultants. And then I say, consultant? Then I said, okay, consultant takes 80%. And the state government takes 20%. That's okay. Where is this money being paid? This 20% to government. But that's okay. Come on. Draft a statement and call the director of press. Send out a statement that is no, the public should be aware that don't call park and pay.
So this one now is illegal.
It's illegal. That's the point I'm going to tell you. That's why I said, go and make an announcement to the public. It does not exist.
The conversation is not about the FCT alone, as the minister reacts to suggestions that he should be expelled from the People's Democratic Party.
There is nothing Chief Edwin Clark or other statesman have not said, but I said, I will never, I will not reply to anything. If there's anybody who has contributed to the growth of PDP, as far as today, is me. So when I read they should investigate me, investment for what? He was one of those who were talking about the Southern president. And I supported the Southern president. So what are you going to investigate me? Chief Edwin Clark was one of those who said, no, power must rotate to go to South. So what is the crime I have committed? That I also believed in that. So I have told you that I don't want to wait for any fight. I will stay there. Where? I will fight it out.
In the PDP?
Yes. Who am I going to run for? The vampires?
The minister vows to remain in the People's Democratic Party, explaining that he plays politics with integrity. Since this briefing, the minister has received knocks and kudos. Kudos for the infrastructure growth in the FCT and the plans for the youth of the nation's capital. And knocks from indigents who feel left out of governance in the FCT, especially those at Idosarki who say their lands are being taken from them by the Nigerian Navy. My guest is Ezekiel Dalhatu, the former Commissioner for Public Complaints Commission representing the Federal Capital Territory. Mr. Ezekiel Dalhatu, welcome again to Dateline Abuja.
I love that word again, and I'm glad to be here again.
Well, it's because, the indigents of the FCT always have something going on, but we'll get to that shortly. Let's talk a little bit about the media chat by the FCT minister. He brought up a few things that I've heard you talk about, a youth development fund for FCT youth. The pack and pay issue, he clarified, he said it's illegal even. And a few other things that he mentioned about infrastructure, creating agricultural zones even, where we can have a lot of agricultural activities going on in the FCT, and the infrastructure growth that he has been focusing on since he became minister. What were your thoughts when you heard these particular things that he's planning to do?
Well, sincerely speaking, I'm glad to be here, just like I said, and riding on the issues you just raised has to do with the interview, the media chat of the minister. I think some of these policies, seeing that they are channeled towards human development and to have impact on the resident and the indigenous people of the FCT, of course, they are welcome development. The youth secretariat that was just created recently as a result of our engagement, the FCT youth engagement with him in a town hall meeting that we held in Abuja South, in Kwali, and also in Buari, where all issues that are bothering the youth were placed and brought to fore. Part of it was to have inclusivity of the youth in his government and the scheme of things. And then the youth agitated that a youth secretariat should be created so that now that you have a secretariat for the women. So these issues were raised, and gladly the minister immediately accepted and said he was going to meet Mr. President to see to it, which eventually it was created. A mandate secretary was sworn in person of Abdullah Suleiman Ango. And then if he's now going further to talk about giving loan, youth, what's it called?
A youth development fund.
Development fund. It will go a long way because you have the larger percentage of the youths on the streets that are not employed by anybody. A lot of them employ themselves, self skills, and then in other activities that they are in. So if you have this fund earmarked for the development of the youth, I think it's really, really something that we all applaud him for. And I hope and believe that he will have the strength, that God will give him the strength, and he has all that he needed as support to achieve this, because it's really going to be a landmark achievement.
How would you assess the inclusion of Abuja indigents? Because that's one thing I've known you for. The inclusion of indigents in the FCT administration. How would you rate it now that we've done about a year plus? If
you ask the inclusivity of the indigenous people, if you talk about appointments, for instance, you have a minister from FCT, it's the Honorable Gisalo, and then you have a mandate secretary. Now you have a mandate secretary youth. So we now have two now from the FCT. Last administration, two, this administration, two. And then when you talk about development, we're also talking and then arguing, raising a concern about the rural communities that are left as if they are not part of this country. The present minister is talking about, and then we see it in action, where he did 5-kilometer routes in the rural community. Basically, he asked the area council chairman to nominate, do I use the word nominate, to like give sites where these roads should be controlled, but with a caveat that it has to be a road that will feed the rural communities. And in his words, that, like, for instance, there is a road, Kwaita Yebu Road. That road has been a nightmare for the people of the indigenous people, because there are several communities on that axis. And as we speak, the road is under construction. So the inclusivity we are seeing a light. We are seeing a light in it. We are seeing that there are efforts, but it's not enough. It's really, really not enough.
Let's talk about Idosarki.
Yeah.
The indigents there. You know, I watched the videos, you know, and watching them, and you know, just the despondency in their faces and the sadness. My land is being, one of them was saying, this is the farm that I used to feed my family, and the Navy is taking over this land. Who is the rightful owner of that land? Is it the residents of Idosarki or the Navy?
It's so pathetic when I'm being questioned or approached with this question once again, because pathetic in the sense that the Nigerian Navy are law enforcement agents. And to me, if you go by dictates and how things should be in normal clients, they are to serve the people because they are being paid with taxpayers' money. The case of the Nigerian Navy, I drove this matter up to the table of the Honorable Minister. And in May, he called for a meeting. In that meeting, the Nigerian military were all represented. The Army, the Air Force, the Navy were all in that meeting in the minister's office. And I did the presentation that this is the case we're having. The Navy just went to the communities and planted signposts. This land belongs to Nigerian Navy. Pack and leave. Every property here shall be demolished immediately. This is strange. It's strange in the democratic setting of our country and in FCT, where we have seen different institutions of government taking over land to construct for public overriding interest. But in this case, it was strange because they just woke up and it signed. Till today, those signposts are there in Idosarki. Not development control, not ages, that has the constitutional obligation to go and say this building is not well fixed in master plan, this, and they will even give you notice. If you don't, they will come and remove the illegal structure and all. We've seen them doing that. But in this case, it's not development control. In this case now, it is Nigerian Navy who are planting signposts, threatening these people to leave. And when they ran to my office, I brought the matter forward because it has to do with intimidation, it has to do with violation of human rights, it has to do with emasculation of their constitutional rights to unmovable and immovable property anywhere in the country. Is there in the constitution? We all enjoy these rights. So I raised it to the minister and he called for that meeting. And I raised a fundamental question. They should even provide the allocation paper, the documentation they have, because this land is allocated to them.
No matter how we feel about all of this.
Yes.
The actual facts
that should be the basis.
Did the Navy have allocation paper?
Now, when I raised this question, the minister put the question straight to them. And they said they have. He said, okay, present your document. They never did. And the minister, in his wisdom, every land allocated in the FCT is documented. And it's with the Department of the Lands. So the director land, in his wisdom, he invited director land in that meeting, development control, all were in the meeting. And even the urban and regional planning, they were the ears of FCDA, where AGs, land department, resettlement are domiciled in he was also in that meeting. And the minister asked the director land a very simple question. What's the status of this land in contention? Who owns the allocation of that land? Do you know what the director land says? Director land said that land has been allocated to Ministry of Aviation. And there is C of 4 for it. Not just R of 4, C of 4 for it. And that Navy do not have any allocation in that place.
Okay. So what happened after?
That is an authority.
So after this,
saying.
So what
the minister
happened?
now said, Navy, you guys need to keep off and stop anything on that land.
Okay.
Now that you say you have document and you did not even present, I'm giving you up to a week to present the document you have. But it's even before you present your document, my director, who is the one doing this, have already said you do not have any allocation there.
What should happen right
This
now
is the time I want minister to really show off the capacity I know him to have. sincerely speaking, because I cannot sit as a citizen of this country and as a stakeholder of the FCT, I cannot sit and watch an agent of government disregarding a constituted authority in the office, in the person of the office of the minister and that of the National Assembly.
We do have to wrap it up there, Mr. Dalhatu. I want to thank you very much for making out the time to be with us, and our greetings to everyone in Idosarki, because I know you're heading there immediately from here.
Thank you. It's so pathetic.
But I want to thank you so much for speaking with us about
Thank
this.
you. Thank you.
Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. We love to hear from you, and your comments help add to the information we have on matters arising in the FCT. So please like, share, and join the conversation on channelstv.com. Remember to let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screens. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.